Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. It's been a few days since I've done any videos, and I got kind of sick over the past couple days. Feeling a little bit better now. Still not 100%, but enough to do one of these breakdown videos. We're going to be covering a few more cards from the Awakening set. First up here we have Natural Talent. Cost 1 resource, Red Hero event. Resolve one of your dice, increasing its value by 1. So it's that simple. If you have a 1 range damage showing, you can pay 1 resource, play Natural Talent, and make that value be 2. Um, One downside to this, though, is it only lets you resolve 1 dice, or 1 die. So if you have a bunch of range damage showing, you won't be able to increase the value of one of them and then resolve the rest. This is probably better used when let's say you rolled out a character with some range damage. Let's say you roll a range damage, a shield, and a resource. Let's say you resolve the shield, you resolve the resource, and you have 1 range damage remaining and a resource or 2 left over. You can pay 1, increase the range value by 1, making it 2, and hitting for 2 damage. So it only lets you resolve 1 die, which is kind of a downside to it, but it also fits in a variety of red hero decks because it's any die. It doesn't have to be red dice, but you can increase damage, you can increase mill or discard, you can increase shields, resources, things like that. So it's very versatile to whatever situation you might be in. Be like, do you need to get a few extra resources? Maybe resolve that 2 resource die, um, and make it a 3 resource die if you play Natural Talent on it. Granted, you will have to pay 1 resource to do that, but you're still ending up with more resources than you would have if you just resolved the die normally. So that's Natural Talent. Fits in a variety of decks, incredibly versatile. And we're going to move into our next card. And we are back now with Rearm, another red hero event. It costs 0. Play a red upgrade from your discard pile, decreasing its cost by 1. So this is very good. It has 0 cost. It decreases the cost of a red upgrade. So for some reason, let's say you ended up with a red upgrade in your discard pile from either maybe discarded a blaster pistol, the D817 for example, to reroll. You can do your reroll, and then let's say you then play this, you can get that D817 back essentially for free because it decreases it by 1. D817 costs 1. It's going to cost 0. It only works on red upgrades. That's the only kind of downside to it. But for example, let's say you're playing in a Finn deck. Finn has access to the villain red weapons as well. So let's say you put a Stormtrooper F11 rifle on him, and your opponent used Disarm to get rid of it. You can go to your discard pile. You can then play Rearm for 0 and get that rifle back and decrease its cost by 1. So it works if you've gotten something in your discard pile by your opponents making you discard something, or they disarmed you, or also if you were to discard something to reroll. So if you have a bunch of red upgrades in your hand and you really need to reroll, throw your red upgrade into your discard pile, do your reroll, and later play Rearm to bring that upgrade back. It could be a good way to essentially get stuff out of your discard pile and back into play for cheaper. We're going to move into the next card. And now we have a Retreat, another red hero event. It costs 2. Your opponent may take 1 action, then end the action phase. So this will probably fit better into hero aggro decks or decks that are rolling out a lot of damage. Let's say you're rolling out a lot of damage, resolving damage fairly quickly, and you don't have a whole lot of other stuff you can do. If you have 2 resources, you can play this. And if your opponent has a bunch of stuff that they might still be able to do, like characters they haven't activated yet, or dice they haven't resolved yet, or cards they haven't played, you play Retreat, and then they only get 1 action before the round ends. So it kind of can make them leave stuff on the table because if you've done all your actions, if you rolled out all your damage and attacked and everything like that, and the only thing you have left to do is possibly claim the battlefield, you can instead play Retreat, which will then it only gives your opponent 1 more action before the round ends, which makes it so we're not going to be able to do everything that they might want to do that turn. So it's a nice kind of like control card, especially in aggro decks where if you claim the battlefield, you're giving your opponent action after action after action that they can roll in a different character, resolve dice, play a card, do this and do that. This makes it so they have to choose one and be done. That's retreat. It's really could work really well in aggro decks where you're just doing everything within a few turns, and then you don't want to give your opponent a whole bunch of stuff that they can do where you can't even react to it. So this is a good card to prevent that from happening. We're going to move into our next card. And now we have strategic planning, cost one resource, ready or exhaust a support. So it's pretty simple. If your opponent has a support that you don't want them to use that round, pay one resource and exhaust it. Or if you have a resource that you rolled out and resolved, you can pay one resource to ready that support again and potentially get another roll out of it. This could also potentially be used to kind of stop the Hyperloop deck. So if you are going first in the round and you have this in your hand, you can pay one resource and exhaust the Millennium Falcon so that they're never able to roll it out or have the special on it trigger, then trigger the Hyperloop to, end the round and end the action phase. It's a nice way to deny your opponent's support, like from some of their big supports. So if they have an ATST or a TIE fighter that you don't want to deal with, pay one, make it so they can't use it. And again, like I said, it makes it so you can use your supports multiple times in a round if you were to roll out a support, resolve the die on it, and then play strategic planning and ready that support. I like the fact that you can actually include this in a deck and have it kind of stop the Hyperloop, at least for one round. You're going to have them not be able to use their Falcon, which is basically the heart and soul of the Hyperloop deck. So that strategic planning, it's all it is ready or exhaust the support. Pretty simple. We're going to move into our next card. We are back with Surgical Strike, cost 1. Remove any number of your red dice showing range damage, increasing each of their values by 1 to discard a support from play that costs equal to or less than the value combined on those dice. So what you're doing here is essentially you're removing your dice, increasing the value of those dice by 1 for each one removed to remove a support from play that costs equal to or less than the value that was on those dice. I've only had played one game where somebody actually used this, and it's pretty risky because you're having to remove a lot of dice, a lot of red range damage dice to destroy a support. Now, I think this card will be better once Spirit of Rebellion comes out and there's more dice that have, or more hero dice that have red range damage. We'll have to see what other characters come out and what other weapons come out for red hero that this can play with. But currently, there's not a whole lot of characters that do this. I think like Akbar has one range damage on his die. The best fit for this card is probably Leia currently, Leia or Poe, because they both have some range damage on their dice as well. But what you had to do is you had to remove all those dice, and the value, you add 1 to each die removed, and that will let you get rid of a support. So if you really don't want to deal with an ATSD, I suppose this is worth it. But at the same time, you're also removing a lot of potential damage from the table to destroy that one support. So you kind of have to weigh it. Is it worth it to not deal damage to get rid of a support that I might not want to deal with? And also, even if you get rid of the support, your opponent might have a way to get that support back through something like scavenge or something like that, or anything that lets you go through your discard pile and put something on the top of it, like the Starship Graveyard, things like that. So those might, kind of negate the effect of this. I really don't like Surgical Strike myself, but I think it'll get better once the next set comes out. We're moving to the next card. And the last card we're looking at today is Resistance HQ. Costs 2 resources. This is a support. It's unique, so you can only have one of it out at a time. And as an action, you can exhaust the support and discard a card from your hand to give a character 1 shield. Then ready this support unless an opponent pays 1 resource. So you exhaust it, discard a card, and then you get a shield. And ready the support, and if you ready it, your opponent will have to pay 1 resource to have you not ready it. So essentially, you're going to be getting constant shields or a steady supply of shields if your opponent doesn't want to pay the 1 resource to essentially leave this exhausted. It's a nice way to kind of thin out your deck. If you got like a really bad hand, you can get a shield, discard a card that you might not want, and then if your opponent pays a resource, on your next turn, you can do it again, discard another card, get another shield. It's a nice way to keep characters shielded up, and then also if you have a way to get stuff back out of your discard pile, you can use scavenge. You can do the Starship Graveyard if you're discarding like upgrades and things like that. So it's a nice way to get shields, and then also kind of control your opponent's resources. If they don't want you getting shields, they're going to have to pay a resource to keep this thing exhausted. So that's Resistance HQ. I'm not currently running any of these in any of my decks, but that's going to do it for today. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.